Don't worry. I got the towel. Lally, I'll throw it in for you, buddy. I got you. It's time to throw in that towel. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Live here on LTL Media. I just wanted to welcome everybody in. Hope everybody's having a good day. Did you get a chance to watch the testimony today? I did not, but I did get to see this morning when I was driving in, Officer Steven Sarif on the stand in Jackson grilling away. So it was very, very interesting. I haven't got to see Steven. Mulaney, I saw a little bit of it lunchtime. Timothy is it Nuttall or Natal or Natal? I didn't see any of his testimony today. And then they ended the day with Anthony Flametti, and there was no cross on that. What I want to do tonight is get into the cross-examination of all those witnesses today. I think Jackson crushed Sarif this morning. Absolutely caught him in doctoring reports, catching him in lies. And if this is the case that Adam Lally, DA Adam Lally, is going to bring here, I think he's going to have a long trial. I'm telling you. And again, he went on about the weather today. Just had to keep going on about the weather and talking about the weather. I don't know if this guy wants to be a DA or a weatherman. I don't know. And I was asking my chat today on Facebook, do you think Lally wants to be a prosecutor anymore, or is he going to be changing to a meteorologist? So I don't know. But let me look at the chat here and nutballs. I love it. Let's pull up the chat and check in with everybody. Greg says, let's fucking go. Yo, Steven, Seven's in the house. What's up? Lisa, how are you? Christine, hello. Mary's in the house. Mary, I got your email. I don't know if you got my reply, but great point that you brought up. If I have time to get to it today, I will. If not, I promise on next show I will bring that up. Mary had a good point that she brought up today. And there was a lot of things floating around about Jennifer McCabe today. And Jennifer McCabe going back inside the house at 34 Fairview. Why would she need to go back inside the house at that point? But we're going to definitely get into the cross today. I want to watch that. I'm not going to play through direct, but we'll go to cross because that's the stuff we really want to watch here. And if anybody wants to go back and watch it, the full testimony today, I'll drop the link in the chat and we can go through that. Reese is here. I think that's a new name. I haven't seen you over here. Cindy's in the house. Hello. Lisa said, I woke up early to watch in California this morning. That's awesome. Mary said she watched. I wish I had time to watch it. I didn't. I had to work today, but I was excited to get back here and do this live tonight. Paul is in the house, moderator. Nice to see you. Kazoo said nutballs. Greg says, I like to see pink lights. Yeah, I don't think I have pink on here. That's the problem. And purplish pink is the closest. I do have my pink ribbon here on the microphone to support Karen, of course. Just me, good evening. Can't wait for this. I watched it all, and it was epic. Dina, a moderator in the chat. Nice to see you. Joanne in the house. Nice to see you. Dina says she's working, but she'll be listening. Lee and Susan's here. Nice to see you. Longtime viewers of the channel. Very nice to see you. Hester says, I learned today to ask for a lawyer and if any EMS shows up. Absolutely. Absolutely. Beach Life in the house. Nice to see you. Audrey's here. Channel member. Nice to see you. Let's see. Andrew's in the house. Renee is in the house. Nice to see you. Let's see. Paula says, among one time of watching Lally is painful enough, but watching Yaneni and Jackson, I could rewatch all day. I can't wait. I was salivating this morning when I was driving into work and watching Jackson fire away at Sarif. It's going to be pretty amazing. But I'm going to try something different tonight. I'm going to try doing this open monologue. Bear with me. I want to start trying to do something different here on the show. So I want to give you some of my thoughts and put this together. I'm going to play a little intro clip, and this is kind of how I want to start my shows after I do this greeting. So bear with me. We'll see if this works. If you don't like it, I don't know. Maybe we'll try something else. But I'm going to do kind of this opening monologue, which I call my opening statement. Here we go. All right, so the murder trial of Karen Read in Massachusetts has reached its second day with conflicting testimonies and a tangled web of accusations surrounding the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Read is 44, is facing second-degree murder charges for allegedly reversing her car into O'Keefe and leaving him to die in the snow in the early hours of January 29th, 2022. The truth will show that Read, a financial analyst and college professor, returned to the scene later that morning with two other women and found O'Keefe's body, becoming hysterical upon the discovery. However, prosecutors have asserted that Read made guilty admissions at the scene, though witnesses presented on today contradicted this narrative. Officer Stephen Sarif admitted during the trial that he didn't originally attribute incriminating words to Read until months after the incident, characterizing as an oversight. Canton police officer Stephen Mullaney also testified that he never heard Read make statements which as "I did it" or "I hit him" at the scene. Prosecution alleged that Read and O'Keefe engaged in a drunken argument in her car, leading her to intentionally backing her Lexus SUV into O'Keefe out of rage. However, Read has pled not guilty to second-degree murder charges, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a crime, claiming she has been framed by the conspiracy within Massachusetts law enforcement. Amidst these conflicting accounts, a parallel federal investigation has emerged, investigating a possible police cover-up related to O'Keefe's death. The trial continues to be with the defense asserting that O'Keefe was killed by someone else at the house party, and evidence that has been manipulated to incriminate Read. Now as the trial progresses, questioning officers involved become crucial in unraveling the truth behind these events that night. Their testimony holds the key to determining the validity of the prosecution's narrative and shedding light on the mysteries surrounding O'Keefe's death. Now to you, Mr. Lally. In light of the conflicting testimonies presented in this trial so far, how do you reconcile the discrepancies between the prosecution's narrative and the accounts of the witnesses? Your case hinges on alleged admissions made by Karen Read, yet Officer Sarif admitted to only attributing these words to her mouth after the incident. How can we trust the accuracy of these admissions if they are not intentionally documented? Furthermore, Officer Mullaney testified today that he never heard Read make any incriminating statements at the scene. If the prosecution's narrative relies on these alleged admissions, how do you explain this glaring inconsistency in the testimonies? As the district attorney, your responsibility is to pursue justice based on evidence and facts. However, how do you justify proceeding this trial amidst mounting doubts and uncertainties surrounding the validity of the prosecution's case? Mr. Lally, it seems evident that your case lacks substance. Your attempt to smear Karen's character through questioning Paul and Erin O'Keefe backfired when both have spoken positively about her. Despite this setback, you persisted in trivial matters such as discussing the weather for the past 2 days. Furthermore, your reliance on police officers who are unable to recall events accurately to perform their duties according to proper operational procedures does little to bolster your case. If this is the foundation which upon you are building your prosecution, in my opinion, this trial will be prolonged and fruitless for you. It's disappointing that instead of diligently seeking the truth and pursuing justice, you're grasping at straws. Perhaps you should redirect your efforts towards finding the actual killers rather than pursuing a baseless case against Miss Karen Read. And that, my friends, is my opening statements. Thank you to my editor. I appreciate it, but we will get on with the show. Okay, so let's get to the opening cross. I can't wait to watch this. Oh boy. All right, here we go. Alan Jackson firing away right at Officer Sarif this morning. Well, let's see. Brielle says, I love the segment. Try not to talk to him so much. I agree, reading the camera would be better. If someone can get me a teleprompter, I would gladly read to the camera, but I have to look up to do this, or the other way is I can just print an old-fashioned piece of paper and read it that way, but I'm being a little bit of a wise ass right now. We tried it. I'll try to make it work better. Maybe I can set up some type of teleprompter. I love the segment as well, and I want to continue to do it, but thank you for the call out. It's the best I can do. You know, we try to do these things the best that we can. I'm doing this all on my own. I'm editing everything and putting all this together, but we'll try to perfect it. All right, let's move on here. Let's go. Thank you. I'm going to work on that. I have a big screen TV in front of me, and I'm sorry. That's all I got right now. Maybe I can set up some type of teleprompter. I don't have. I'm not a.
You're still on.
I'm not a major news network. You know, I gotta work with what I got. But we'll try something else next time. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, let's go.
Sure. Yes, sure.
Yeah, we're not moving the TV mount. It's mounted. That's what it is.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Sarif.
All right, let's do this.
Anything
Cross.
you'd like to change or amend or modify about your testimony yesterday that you thought about overnight?
No.
Did you discuss your testimony with any person between the time you got off the stand yesterday and coming back to the courtroom?
No.
Officer Sarif, I want to ask you a question about, or a couple of questions about something called a dispatch log. You know what a dispatch log is?
Yes.
What is a dispatch log? Can you describe to the viewers?
Just notes saying what time calls come in, and sometimes a short synopsis of what happened on the call.
It's an official document generated by the Canton Police Department, correct?
That's correct.
And it's kept in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
It's created at or near the time of the event that it's recording?
Yes.
And it's supposed to be accurate?
Yes.
Is that yes?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And in fact, what it has is the dispatch details of the event that's in question. Whatever officers show up, what time they show up, the order in which they show up, the location to which they're dispatched, things of that nature, correct?
Yes.
Have you looked at the dispatch log in this case?
No, I have not.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
This has been pre-marked as Exhibit 27. Take a glance at that and tell me if you recognize that document.
He is
How do you
shaking.
recognize it?
Woo!
That looks like the log in question.
Look at that paper shaking, shaking, because you about to get caught, sir. You gonna get caught.
So that's the dispatch log for what date?
The 29th.
Do you see your name somewhere on that dispatch log?
Yes.
To the right, one of the three officers that was called to the scene.
Yes.
And that looks like the dispatch log for the call out that you were testifying about yesterday. Is that right?
That's correct.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
May I publish this as we
Yes.
discuss it? That is really small font. I'm gonna make I approach one more time.
Yes.
This is not an eye contest.
That I would not.
I exam, I should say. Oh, look at that. The magic of technology. All right. You can either look up on the screen or look at the dispatch log that's in front of you. I'll try to look at the one on the screen, but my eyes aren't that great either. If you look to the right, there appear to be 3 entries for the dispatch of the officers that were on the scene about which you testified yesterday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, it has this dispatch log shows that you and then Officer Mullaney and then Sergeant Good all arrived to 32 Fairview that morning within 7 seconds of each other, correct?
That's what it says, yes.
It actually has Officer Mullaney arriving first at 6:09:26 You see that?
Yes.
And you see that it also has 3 seconds later at 6:09:29, you arriving. Is that right?
6:29 it says. Excuse me, it's 6:09, yes. you're correct.
6:09 and 29 seconds.
Yes, I'm sorry, yep.
That's okay. And then it has Sergeant Good arriving 4 seconds after you at 6:09 and 33 seconds, correct?
Sure, yep.
So all three of you, according to the official document generated by Canton Police Department for this event, has Officer Mullaney arriving first, you arriving second, Sergeant Good arriving third, all within 7 seconds of each other, correct?
Correct.
That is completely false, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, you've looked at your dispatch, your dash cam, correct? And clearly, we saw it yesterday. You arrive and there's nobody else on scene.
correct.
That was at about 6:10 a.m. that you arrived, correct?
About that, yes.
And then Officer Mullaney actually arrives after you about 6:11 a.m. Is that right?
Yes,
And Sergeant Good does not arrive, according to your own dash cam, until about 6:16, a little after 6:15.
Stacy, great comment here. I'm going to pause this really quick and bring this up. Stacy says, so far it seems that the Commonwealth witnesses have all benefited Karen. And you are right. And I talked about that in my opening statement when Lally decided to put Paul O'Keefe up on the stand first and wanted to talk to Paul O'Keefe about Karen's character. What did he ultimately say? Karen was a good person. Karen used to help John with the kids. Karen took care of the kids. Karen was always there. And then when he couldn't get it out of Paul O'Keefe, and this is funny because this came up in the Justice Group today, when he couldn't get a nasty comment out of Paul O'Keefe about Karen Reed, what did he do? He brought in Erin O'Keefe, and tried to do the same line of questioning with her and couldn't get it. And she said the same thing. Karen helped out the kids. Karen and I were friends. Karen was a good person. Karen was always there. And you could sense the disappointment in Lally's voice. And he tried to kind of twist her a little bit more in her direct. And then I love the fact that Alan Jackson, I love the fact that, that David Yannetti and Alan Jackson had no cross for any of the family members. One, it just wouldn't be a good look to dig at the family of the victim. And two, essentially, I think Lally smoked himself yesterday when he was trying to extrapolate that type of information out of them, and he couldn't get it. They weren't going to go there. And now I start to question myself, question this. Are some of the O'Keefes starting to wake up to this now? Are they starting to kind of read the writing on the wall here that this is corrupt and Karen did not do this? It only remains to be seen, but we'll go back to the testimony here. Great question, by the way.
All right. So
Great
right off the
observation.
bat, the official Canton Police Department dispatch log, one of the first documents generated in any investigative event, that's completely wrong, right?
the times are, yes.
Well, the times and the orders, right? I mean, not only did Officer Mullaney not arrive first, you arrived first.
That's
and
correct.
then he arrived.
Sure,
So that's two things that are wrong about just that, correct?
sure.
And then it has Sergeant Good arriving 4 seconds after you, which is also incorrect.
Yep.
He didn't arrive until about 6 or 7 minutes after you, right?
Sure.
Have you reviewed this document in the past?
Yeah? No,
You've never seen the dispatch log?
No.
Did you ever seek to make sure that the dispatch log that's so important and so vital in an investigation was actually accurate before it was turned over to the defense, for instance?
no, I didn't.
All right. But without that dispatch log, without your dash cam, we would be relying on your dispatch log to be true and accurate. Is that right?
Other than what I'm saying that would happen, correct.
And do you think it's accurate otherwise?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not in order, no, it's not. Not in order, no.
Other than
In
the
time.
order and the time that the officer's responding, is it correct in all other respects in your mind?
Can you rephrase,
Sure.
say it one more time?
Let's take away the order and the time that the officers responded. Ignore that.
Mhm.
Is the dispatch log otherwise accurate?
Yes,
Take a look
He
The
is a
left-hand
nervous
corner
Nelly.
Where it's highlighted in green. What's that address?
32.
Highlighted in green?
On the screen, it's highlighted.
I'm
in
sorry.
green.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
like, I didn't see.
I don't have the document.
That's
you're-
okay.
you're holding.
It says 32 Fairview.
Not 32.
Did you
Remember this.
arrive to 32 Fairview Road?
No,
You arrived to 34 Fairview Road.
that's correct. Yep,
So that even the location on the dispatch log is faulty. Is that right?
sure, yep.
May I approach you?
Yes.
So this is, what everybody has to start realizing here. This is going to be the attack from Jackson and Yannetti to all of the first responders, officers, firefighters in this. They're going to show sloppy police work. They're going to show inconsistencies in their statements. They're going to show that their statements have changed multiple times. And their statements have changed after they had contact with who? Put it in the chat. When did their statements change? After they met with who? After they met with who? And I missed this earlier. Patrick says the audio sounds great. As an audio engineer, I knew as soon as Brian spoke a few streams ago using the camera mic, his voice had no compression. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you pointing that out. Yes, the pervert Proctor seizing Karen Reed's phone and bragging to his friend about looking for nudes, that he couldn't find any nudes on her phone, and bragging and put that. I don't know how this guy today still has a job. He should be fired for that, for illegally going into her phone without a search warrant. But it remains to be seen what's going to happen with Trooper Proctor. And I think he's going to have an extremely tough day ahead of him when he gets on that stand in cross-examination. Let's continue here with Officer Sarif.
Yep.
You testified at a grand jury in April of 2022, correct?
I did.
At that grand jury, do you remember telling the grand jurors what address you actually responded to?
The lights, please.
Don't recall. Probably what I said in the grand jury.
Refresh your recollection if you took a quick glance
Sure.
at a copy of your grand jury testimony. May I approach you, Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Officer Sheriff, I've done you the favor of highlighting a page on page 9. Where did you indicate to the grand jurors that you actually arrived?
It says 35 Fairview.
It's all over the
I know what
place.
it says. I'm asking if it refreshes your recollection that you actually
Is that 33,
testified under oath that
34, and 35?
You responded to 35 Fairview Road.
Yes.
And that is incorrect as well, isn't it?
Yes.
May I approach you, Honor?
Yes.
So this is from DW. Says, well, when Karen sues Proctor and Mass State Police for civil rights violation, may be fired. Also keep in mind, too, currently Trooper Proctor is under an internal investigation. So I'm sure that this testimony in court did not help his case. Excuse me.
Have you reviewed any of the other officers' reports that relate to your dispatch out to the location that you've been testifying to?
No, I did not.
Did you ever review Sergeant Good's report?
No.
Are you aware that have you ever discussed with Sergeant Good that he wrote in his official report that you responded to 32 Fairview Road?
No.
And of course, we just talked about the fact that the dispatch log lists 32 Fairview Road and not 34 Fairview Road, correct?
Correct.
So none of the initial police reports, not the dispatch log, not your police report, apparently not Sergeant Good's, list 34 Fairview Road as the actual location where you responded that morning, correct?
As far as I know, yes. Yes, sir.
Was there an effort on your part or anybody else's, to your knowledge, to mask the actual address of Brian Albert's house as 34 Fairview Road?
No.
All those were just mistakes
Yes.
over and over and over.
Yes.
When you made contact with the victim and the women that you described yesterday, did you see any evidence that any of the women had been engaged in life-saving measures?
Yes,
What did you see?
it appeared that Karen Reed was doing mouth-to-mouth on John O'Keefe.
You saw.
Jay
I
Ross,
don't wanna
thank
get too
you.
graphic.
Appreciate it.
saw
Thank you
blood
for
on
being
her
here.
face.
Yes, I did.
You saw blood on his face.
That's correct.
You saw blood in her hair.
No, I didn't see anything.
You didn't notice that?
No, I didn't notice that.
Okay. But certainly blood on her face from having engaged in some sort of CPR activity.
Yes,
Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, you said?
it looked like it, yes.
Okay. You also saw Carrie Roberts seemingly assisting with chest compressions. Is that right?
Objection? Not asking a question.
Sorry?
Objection? There's just no
No,
question.
no, you can ask it. The question hasn't been asked yet. Finish the question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Did you also see Carrie Roberts seemingly assisting in chest compressions?
I don't remember who exactly it was, but it appeared that somebody was doing
What about
purchase.
the third woman, Jennifer McCabe?
They were all around the body.
Did you see Jennifer McCabe ever engage with John O'Keefe as he lay on the ground and assist in any life-saving measures? Did
I don't-
you witness that?
I don't recall.
But you do recall my client engaged.
Yes,
Isn't it true that Jennifer McCabe pulled you aside while my client and Carrie Roberts stayed with John O'Keefe and began engaging you in a conversation?
yes,
And she was providing some sort of a narrative to you, correct?
correct.
While the other two women are trying to save John O'Keefe's life, she's talking to you
For brief seconds, I would say.
for brief seconds.
Yes,
You saw that the dash cam video was those several minutes on the dash cam video where she's standing and having a conversation with you. Are those the brief seconds? that you
I don't know what time frame you're talking about.
saw? Right after you got there.
Right after I got there.
Correct. Did you ever see Jennifer McCabe do anything physically to help John O'Keefe?
No, I didn't see anything.
Did Jennifer McCabe offer to you during that brief seconds that you described, this narrative that she was having, this conversation she was having with you, did she ever offer the fact that she was standing in front of her sister's house?
No,
Did she ever offer the fact that her brother-in-law, who lives in the house, is a first responder?
objection.
Sustained.
Were you apprised at any time while you were out there that the homeowner was a first responder?
Objection.
Sustained.
Based on your observations between Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe, which one of those women appeared to be more focused on trying to save John's life in the moment?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Can you repeat the question, sir?
Between Karen Reed,
You know, I get a question for all of you. Do you think now that all of these officers and everybody that's involved to be called as witnesses for the Commonwealth understand that there's a federal investigation in this case? Do you think this is kind of smartening some people up right now, or do you think that they're going to keep going forward with their bullshit and they're essentially going to get caught by Jackson and Yannetti? So what do you think? Do you think that people are starting to smarten up a little bit now? If you think they are, drop a 1 in the chat. If you think that they don't care and they're going to continue to just go on as they go on and get caught, drop a 2. Drop a 2 in the chat. All right, let's keep playing through.
and Jennifer McCabe, which one of
Excuse
those two women, based on your observations, appeared to you to be more focused on physically trying to save John O'Keefe's life in the moment?
At that point, it was Karen Reed.
You would agree with me, Officer Seraph, that in any investigation, details matter, accuracy matters, correct?
Sure.
Reports are written in police investigations in order to memorialize observations, things heard, seen, experienced by the officers, correct?
Yes.
And generally speaking, you're trained to write those reports and memorialize those observations as quickly as possible so that things are fresh in your memory.
Correct.
You don't want to write a report about an incident that you respond to today, 2 years from now.
No.
As a matter of fact, you're trained exactly the opposite. When you respond to a scene, it's somewhat important. You need to get it down on paper as quickly as possible for detail and accuracy, right?
Yes.
You did, in fact, write a report, a supplemental report for this investigation, where you laid out your observations of that morning, correct?
That's correct.
These are called incident reports, correct?
Yes.
I'm holding what appears to be a multi-page document that is entitled an incident report. May I approach?
Yes.
Take a look at the tab page.
Mhm.
And tell me if you recognize what's on that page.
I'm sorry.
Do you recognize that? All I'm asking you is,
Oh,
you
yes.
recognize that as your report?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did you write that?
Yes, sir.
When did you write that?
I believe the morning of,
So that would be January 29th,
that's correct.
a little bit later in the morning after you left the scene.
Yes.
And you were reflecting back on what had just happened.
Well, there's an interesting point from my dad watching the show. Good evening, Dad. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for texting me and posing this question to the chat. And I want to see what you all think here. So he says, put this to your people. Why didn't Sarif go to his cruiser when he learned who John was, being a Boston police officer, and get on the radio and step it up, officer down? I think that's a great point, Dad. I think we talked about that earlier this morning. And thanks for reminding me to interject that to the audience. And what do you all think? Let my dad know in the chat.
Minutes or hours before, correct?
Yep.
And you were trying to be as truthful as possible, correct?
Yes.
You were trying to be as accurate as possible,
Yes.
as comprehensive as possible,
Yes.
and as thorough as possible.
Yes.
You wrote in that report, quote, Karen Reed kept screaming, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" She was severely distraught and not able to tell me what happened. Correct?
That's correct.
May I approach?
My dad's a little bit of a fat smeller, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
There was no limit to the amount of words that you could put on the page, correct?
Nope.
Matter of fact, there's a ton of white space. It's left unutilized, right?
That's correct.
You could have taken as much time as you wanted to in writing this report. Is that right?
Sure.
And it was, is that yes?
Yes.
I know, Jimmy.
There was no
You're
reason to
joking.
abbreviate anything. Is that right?
No.
And you tried to be as accurate as you possibly could in that moment
He's a fat
and put
smeller.
everything
Yep.
down in that report that reflected what you experienced, what you observed, and what you heard that morning, correct?
Yes.
And the only statement you attribute to my client on that morning, just hours after the incident or minutes after the incident, was she kept repeating, "Is he dead?" Correct?
Yes.
You were interviewed by Michael Proctor the next day.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what day it was, but
Here we go.
Refresh your recollection. Take a look at the report.
sure.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
Take a look at that report that's dated March 15, but reflects an interview on January 30, and then tell me if you recognize it.
Yeah, I'm going to point this out. Darcy, yes, notice that a lot. And that's probably some instructions from her attorney. I noticed yesterday during direct, I noticed Karen, I'm sorry, in David Yanetti's statement yesterday, his opening statement, when David Yannetti got to the issue of Michael Proctor, Karen had turned right to the jury and looked all of them in the face, along with Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson looked at the jury as well, and Liz Little was taking notes. But I did notice, especially during testimony yesterday, when Proctor was brought up, you saw that good 5 or 10 minutes in that statement of Karen continuing to look at the jury. And again, that's something to reassure that she is not afraid that this will all come out, that she is framed. And this is my opinion, of course, and to connect with those jurors, to let them know that an innocent woman is being tried for all these frivolous charges. You want to look at the jury in their face. So yeah, she has been looking at the jury a lot, and I think that's a great. It's it's okay to do that.
Looks like his report.
Okay, that's that's Trooper Proctor's report of an interview that he did with you, correct?
Yes.
And if you look on the second page, paragraph about what you stated to Trooper Proctor.
That's highlighted? Is
I
that-
highlighted it for you, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell Trooper Proctor, let me withdraw that, ask it a different way. Were you trying to be as thorough and comprehensive with Trooper Proctor as you were in your own report?
Yes.
You weren't holding anything back in that interview, correct?
No.
You wanted to be as truthful and as honest as you possibly
Where it's
could.
going to start unraveling.
And as comprehensive as you possibly could, correct?
Yes.
You told Trooper Proctor that you could, quote, hear Karen Reed continually state, "Is he dead?" as the paramedics treated the victim. Officer Seraph then seen Karen inside her friend's vehicle, correct?
Correct.
So the only statement you attributed to my client the day after this incident was those 3 words, "Is he dead?" that she continually repeated. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
In the 2 times that you were asked to reflect back on exactly what happened that morning, on January 29th and January 30th, both times you attributed only 3 words to my client having been repeated continually in her distraught state. "Is he dead?" Right?
Yes.
And she wasn't saying that calmly, I'm assuming.
No.
Matter of fact, you used the word she was severely distraught. Is that right?
That's correct.
When you say severely distraught, we saw part of that on your dash cam. She was emotional,
Yes.
upset,
Yes.
focused on John,
Yes.
trying to save his life,
Yes.
and asking, what was the question that she asked?
Is he dead?
Over and over and over, correct?
Correct.
Then you were asked to testify in April of 2022, April 14th of 2022, at a state-run grand jury by the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Matter of fact, Mr. Lally was the fine prosecutor who was asking you the questions, correct?
Yes.
Between the time you wrote your report on January 29th and you gave a statement officially on January 30th, between that time and when you testified in April of 2022,
Uh-oh.
meetings with anybody from the Massachusetts State Police?
It's going to start unraveling here.
No.
Did you have any meetings with Mr. Lally?
No.
Did Mr. Lally put you on the stand without talking to you first?
No. For this trial?
Nope. I'm just, the dates in question are up to April 14th, 2022, at grand jury.
Don't recall.
You don't recall if you met with either Mr. Lally or any of his contemporaries to discuss your potential testimony?
Not. I don't recall meeting with him for that. No. One time I met with him in his office was a couple of weeks ago with this.
In preparation for this testimony.
Correct.
But your testimony now is that he didn't meet with you or you did not connect with him to discuss your testimony.
So I think we have a fan. We have a fan in the chat. Sunrise Blue says Alan Jackson will use his Hollywood connections to turn this into a movie. Jennifer Aniston will play Karen. Next Thigh High Boots will get her on the Playboy cover, which I don't think they put women on the cover anymore. And I don't even think Playboy's even around anymore. Is it still around? The Millionaire in the Making. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or, you know, direct or derogatory. The question that I have to ask you is, how would you feel if your phone, and this will come out, I'm gonna tell you because this is a fact. Alan Jackson's gonna show this in court. How and it's gonna be beautiful because when Proctor's up on the stand and he shows that text message that Proctor texted to his buddy, you know, I've gone through Karen Reed's phone and looked for nudes and I couldn't find any. How would you feel if your phone was seized and supposed to be turned over for evidence and it was illegally searched by the lead investigator in a case that's being investigated and you're being framed, and they go through your phone and you find out that they're looking for nude photographs of you? How would you feel about that? And I know that you're going to go on and say, oh, it's not true, but I'm going to tell you it is the truth, because when we see the text messages from Proctor's phone, we will know that is the truth, but you will continue probably to deny it. So how would you feel, though? Let me ask you that.
Before the April
As a woman,
grand
how would
jury.
you feel?
I don't recall.
Oh, is that Lizzie Proctor?
When you did testify in that grand jury, you changed your story, didn't you?
No.
It's interesting here. I noticed this long pause earlier today by Jackson. I don't know if it was done on purpose or if he was looking at paperwork or he was maybe just afraid to go somewhere where he says you changed your testimony. Maybe he didn't feel it was the right moment. That's why he took that long pause. Or he took the long pause out of brilliance to create some tension as to the next question. Let's go back a little bit about that. I noticed that earlier today.
On January 30th. Between that time and when you testified in April of 2022, do you have any meetings with anybody from the Massachusetts State Police?
No.
Do you have any meetings with Mr. Lally?
No.
Did Mr. Lally put you on the stand without talking to you first?
No. For this trial?
Nope. I'm just, the dates in question are up to April 14th, 2022, at grand jury.
Don't recall.
You don't recall if you met with either Mr. Lally or any of his contemporaries to discuss your potential testimony?
Not. I don't recall meeting with him for that. No. One time I met with him.
He
in
is
his office,
babbling.
a couple of weeks ago.
Preparation for this testimony.
Correct.
But your testimony now is that he didn't meet with you or you did not connect with him to discuss your testimony.
Kelly, thank you so much for the 15 on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate that. Thank you for using my link attached to the top of the chat. If you want to highlight your question or answer to anything, you can hit the super chat and do that as well. And I have all my links that will drop via Nightbot. If you want to contribute and support the channel, I would appreciate it.
Only before the April grand jury.
I don't recall.
When you did testify in that grand jury, you changed your story, didn't you?
No.
There it is right there, that pause.
You believe you testified
Excuse me.
completely consistently at that grand jury as you had in your report?
I testified for what I remember. What happened, sir?
I see. Was your memory better in April than it was?
I love this.
minutes or hours after the event?
Was it better?
This is great.
I don't know.
Do you think your memory gets better as time goes on?
Not usually. No.
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 Usually it's the opposite, isn't it?
Yes.
Memories get foggy, they fade.
Yes.
Which is why you write reports the day of the incident, if you can, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember what you testified to at the grand jury in April of 2022?
The whole thing?
No,
Oh,
sorry, that was a bad question on my part. just as it relates to statements attributed to my client.
Yes.
What was your exact testimony in April of 2022?
I'd have to look at my,
Would it refresh your recollection if you saw a copy of your
sure.
grand jury transcript? May I approach?
Yes.
I think he in trouble. I think he's gonna get caught here.
Let me know once you remember it, once you review that and tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes, it does.
In fact, on April 14th, 2022, months after this event, for the first time, you said, quote, and these are your words, tell me if I get them right. She, this is my fault. I don't know. She said, I can't believe this happened. I mean, she kept asking if he was going to die, if he's dead. And, I just basically said, we're doing the best that we could, end quote.
That's correct.
May I approach?
Yes.
So in April of 2022, for the first time, you attributed the phrase, "This is my fault. I can't believe this happened," to my client, correct?
That's correct.
But nowhere in your official report did you say that.
That's correct.
And nowhere in your interview with Trooper Proctor the next day did you say that.
That's correct.
You think that was a pretty important omission on your part?
It was an oversight.
An oversight.
Yes, sir.
That a woman whom you made contact with, standing over the body of a fallen police officer, said to you,
Now, I know this is going to be an incredibly difficult question to ask, but I've just put a poll at the top, and I want you to be as honest as you can. And I posed the question, if you didn't know anything about this case and were on the jury, how would you vote right now? Now, seriously, be as honest as you can, please. I just want to try to see, get an honest reaction. I like it. Some people saying, not sure yet. 80% already says not guilty. 4% says guilty. There's 4% of people in here watching that think that Karen is guilty. And I love the honesty here. That's what we want to see. But I know it's very, very hard to say because a lot of people do support Karen in this chat room. So, all right, let's keep playing through here.
"This is my fault." Just missed that one.
Yes, the oversight.
Yes, I missed it. Yeah, I didn't write it down.
And then, of course, you testified yesterday.
I like this honesty. Just Me says, I want to see all the evidence. Well, I like that. I like that you're honest about it. And there's probably people in here that think Karen is completely
And
guilty.
your statement changed again, right?
I don't.
Remember
This
what you
guy
said
caught.
yesterday? These jurors?
I don't remember word for word.
He is caught.
Well, I wrote it down. Let's see if this helps.
Oh,
Yesterday, you said that my client said, quote, "It's all my fault. I did this," end quote.
Yes.
Remember that? Is that yes?
Yes, sir.
But you didn't say that at the grand jury.
No.
And you didn't say that to Trooper Proctor.
No, sir.
And you didn't put it in your report.
That's correct.
If you were to testify in another 2 or 3 weeks, I think your statement would just keep evolving.
Objection.
oh,
Sustained.
Now I want to shift gears for a second and talk about what Ms. Reed actually said that morning. You said that you've reviewed your dash cam video, correct?
Once.
Do you remember when you arrived, one of the first things out of your mouth was the question, what happened?
Yes.
That would be a natural question to
Sure.
ask.
Yeah.
Trying to assess the scene and assess the situation.
Absolutely.
And you would want to listen closely to what that answer was, correct?
Sure.
Ms. Reed did in fact answer you, didn't she?
I don't recall what she said.
She said, quote, "My boyfriend, I left him and he never came home, end quote. Correct?
I don't know. I don't recall.
You agree, we've already agreed, that details matter in any investigation. They
Absolutely.
certainly matter in this investigation, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to take a look at what's been pre-marked as Exhibit 26.
That's a nervous tick right there. Scratching the face, blinking the eyes like this. This is a lot of nervous. This is a nervous Nelly here. See the shifting? He's shifting a lot. He's scratching. His eyes are going all over the place. He getting red. He's looking around. He's a nervous Nelly.
This is about the 3:50 runtime. I'm not looking at the actual. I'm not looking at the actual time of day over here. I'm looking at the runtime, which is down at the bottom. So if Mr. Bates, you could put this at about the 3:50 mark. Can you pause it? Just to orient everybody, does this appear to be your dash cam?
Yes, sir.
Same dash cam you were looking at yesterday?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this.
This gets interesting too. I remember this from this morning. Jackson's going to play a bit here. I forget what he was trying to have Sarah listen to. Was it the fact that Karen said I dropped him off and he never came home? Something to that effect. He plays it. He plays it twice, and Bev shuts it down immediately, and I think calls to sidebar after that, if I'm correct, which I found very interesting.
Awesome. Officer Seraph, just like it's not an eye exam, it's not a hearing exam either. I'm going to do the best I can to raise the volume. And Officer Seraph, I want to focus your attention, if you wouldn't mind, on 9 seconds after you say what happened. Just count in your head and listen very, very carefully to the woman's voice that responds to what she says. Go ahead. Awesome. Very, very hard to hear. Have you listened to that before?
No.
Does it appear to you that she said, my boyfriend, I left him and he never came home?
I couldn't understand anything.
Okay. Let's replay it one more time. Turn the volume on one more time right at that moment. Listen for a woman's voice just under. Sorry, I was asking Officer Seraph, please listen to, there's a din of noise, obviously, road noise, wind noise, etc. It's your dash cam, the audio from your dash cam. Once you close the door, listen very carefully about 9 seconds after you say what happened, or a woman's voice, and see if you can make out what that voice says. Sure. Stop.
I heard it. I dropped off my boyfriend and he never came home. You hear the officer say, what happened? And she says, I dropped off my boyfriend and he never came home. I heard it. And if you, I mean, Paula's making a good point. You just put earbuds in, you listen. I have two big well, not big speakers, but I have desk speakers right in front of me, and I can hear it. Yeah, she says, you hear the officer go, what happened? It's a little bit of a pause, in Jackson's right, about 9 seconds. And you hear, I dropped off my boyfriend and he didn't come home. Let me go back a little bit. We'll try this again. want to go too much back, but let's try this. What happened?
Stop.
I dropped off my boyfriend. He didn't come home.
I left him and he never came home.
I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Or I
You
left.
couldn't understand that?
No.
Do you want to hear it one more time?
No,
I don't think it.
no. Turn the lights on, please.
Now, if my client had said,
Isaiah checking and says, "Hey, I
"My
heard it
boyfriend,
clearly."
I left him and he never came home,"
Excuse me.
would that be something that
Good to
would
see you,
find
man. Thanks for
important
checking in.
to put in your report?
Objection.
Sustained.
Let's move to another area of the dash cam video. I want to keep playing it
Now,
out.
this is where I actually had to go into work, so I missed all the rest of this. I was driving in and I heard all this, so this is going to be new to me now. I didn't hear any of this today.
28-minute mark, 28-minute and 20-second mark or so.
So can I see counsel at sidebar for just a minute?
Yeah,
please?
right here. This is when I actually went into work today, so I missed all this. But I'm going to pass forward. I'm going to fast forward through the sidebar, of course. I don't think it's very long. Might be really quick. It's John O'Keefe's mom and dad. So my dad says, "Wait until the next officer, Mulaney. My jaw is going to drop." I did see a little bit of that on my lunch break, but I didn't get fully into it. And this is what's going to happen. You know, Jackson and Yannetti are going to keep digging into these officers, and it's the same. You know, it's the same tag. I go back. I know it's a very different case, but I go back to the O.J. Simpson case. I still think O.J. 1,000% is guilty, but this is what they did. They attacked the officers. They went off. They went into the sloppy police work. They pulled up video of evidence being bagged incorrectly. And this is what Jackson's going to do here. He's going to break all this up. The procedures that were horrible, that were awful. No one followed police procedure. No one did any real investigating or detective work. And then when this is all going to land on Michael Proctor, believe me, this is all going to land on the shoulders of Michael Proctor, and he's going to have to answer for all of this. And I'm going to tell you, he going to be shaking in his boots when Jackson and Yannetti get a hold of him. Trust me. That is going to be the testimony of the century. I'm telling you. That's the one you're going to really want to be here and watch. All right, let's keep playing through here. Did I lose sound?
Do you recognize your dash cam video being on the left of the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you looked at Sergeant Good's dash cam video, which is
Could take a couple of days.
No.
Could take a couple of days, Casey.
Does it appear to you that these are two different perspectives of the same scene? In other words, you see the car or the SUV on the left side of the screen right here, correct?
Yes, sir.
See that same SUV right there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that appear to be two different perspectives, two different angles,
Yes.
of basically the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. I want to draw your attention to the individuals to the left of the SUV right here. There's a person wearing a hood with fur on it.
Yes.
Terry Roberts.
He has to
Remember?
show up.
I don't know.
There appears to be another person with a darker jacket standing just in front of.
He's been
that
subpoenaed. He
person
has
with
to
the
show
hood.
up.
You see that person?
What is the sign?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to focus on the person in the darker jacket.
Sure.
I believe, and the only reason I'm asking you to focus at this point is because I want to try to play this just once and see if you recognize what's depicted in the video.
Sure.
Excuse me.
What I expect you may see is this person move out of sight behind the SUV, and then in the background there's an SUV parked in the driveway. pay special attention to that portion of the SUV and see if you see that person in the dark jacket pass from right to left in front of that SUV as if they're going to the house. Let's go ahead and play it.
I haven't seen this.
Have you seen the person in the dark jacket leave the view?
Yes,
Did she appear to go behind the SUV?
yes.
Okay. Go ahead and play it.
Someone's phone's ringing. Maybe it's his.
Stop track. And now I'm going to ask to draw your attention to that car with snow on it. Pay special attention to that car as the film continues to run. Go ahead. Pause.
Oh,
Do you see a person standing in front of the car?
where was Jennifer McCabe going?
Walking from right to left.
Yes.
Would that be toward the house?
Yes, it would.
Wow.
And also, if you wouldn't mind switching your perspective, now you're looking more at the front of the house
Well,
and see if you see that same person walking toward the house.
Well. Jennifer McCabe went back inside 34 Fairview that morning. What's the time? I can't see the time. 6:34 and 43 seconds for all the non-believers that think Karen Read is guilty. Why would Jennifer McCabe have to go back inside 34 Fairview that morning? Well. I think Jennifer McCabe got some explaining to do. And I can't wait till that gets on cross when Jackson gets a hold of Jennifer McCabe. I think everybody got some explaining to do. Well.
Stop. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see. Oh, yeah. Yes. I saw the shadow, yes.
Right. Shadow of a person
Yes.
walking toward the front of the house. That was Jennifer McCabe going into the house, wasn't it?
Wow.
I have no idea.
Was it a person going into the house?
It was a person, yes.
Did you give anybody any permission to
Yeah.
go into the house?
No, not my own.
Would you think that a witness in a homicide scene?
Yeah.
Raise the lights. Thank you. Would you think that a witness at a homicide scene being allowed to go into a house to make contact with other witnesses?
I didn't know it was a homicide.
That scene was never secured. Boom. That scene was compromised. And people were allowed to walk off. No one was directed to say, hey, who's that? Go get that person. They're walking off. I mean, for Christ's sakes, I've seen that on Cops before. When they show up to a scene, someone's down, they're injured, they may have been stabbed, they may have been shot, and there's a panic. Maybe there's a crowd there, and people start walking off. You hear other officers immediately go, "Hey, go get that person. We need to talk to them. Get them back here." And they're out there with their fucking hands in their pocket, lollygagging around. Lollygagging. Wow. Lallygagging, lally-splaining, whatever it is. Jennifer McCabe was allowed to walk off. What is she doing? Was she hiding any potential evidence or hiding facts or trying to get out or get the story straight to Brian Albert inside 34 Fairview? Let him know what's going on? Why did she have to go back in there? Let's see if the officer can explain that.
Homicide scene, sir.
If I could finish my question. Do you think it's appropriate for a witness at a potential homicide scene, an unconscious person scene, whatever crime scene,
Yes.
to make contact with other witnesses and begin discussing the situation unsupervised?
Can you rephrase that question?
I think that's an
Oh,
appropriate thing to have happen.
you got no answer. because you know you were wrong. You do not follow police protocol.
I have no answer for that, sir. I don't know what you're asking.
Officer Sheriff, when you go to a crime scene,
Yes, sir.
one of the first things that you want to do
Secure the
is
scene.
secure the scene
Yeah.
and separate witnesses so that interviews could be conducted, correct?
Sure.
You wouldn't want witnesses just cavorting together and
Yeah.
getting their story straight, right?
Correct.
You'd want to avoid that at all costs, right?
Yes. Yes.
And why is that?
So they can't collaborate their story.
That's basic
Yeah,
police
there was a woman-
procedure.
Sorry, there was a person walking from.
That's probably taught on the first day of police training. Securing the scene. Don't let potential witnesses walk off and collaborate their stories, or just let them walk off in general. You need to keep them at the scene. Keep your eyes on them.
the area where a body was found in the lawn of a house, walking into the house to make contact with other individuals, correct?
It appeared that way, yes, sir.
Does that seem appropriate to you? Of
No.
course not.
You fucked. You screwed up. He knows it. He's done.
We've talked a bit about what you did and didn't hear at the scene from my client. At any point when you were at that location, did you hear my client repeating the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
She said, I hit him? No, I didn't hear that part.
Oh,
You never heard her whisper it? Yell
oh
it?
God, that was brilliant by Jackson. He had him caught and wavering on Jen McCabe, walking back to 34 Fairview. And then let's go back to the I hit him. And now he says that he didn't hear it. He never heard it. Oh, this is so good. Let's go back just a little bit. Where are we at? 38. Let's go back just a little bit. I want to hear that again.
Sorry, there was a person walking
Let's hear it
from
again.
the area where a body was found in
Whoopsie.
the lawn of a house, walking into the house to make contact with other individuals, correct?
It appeared that way, yes, sir.
Does that seem appropriate to you?
No.
Watch this turn by Jackson. This is brilliant. Now he's ruffled.
We've talked a bit about what you did and didn't hear at the scene from my client.
Now the truth's gonna come out.
At any point when you were at that location, did you hear my client repeating the phrase, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him?
Nope.
She said, I hit him? No, I didn't hear that part.
You never heard her whisper it,
Oopsie.
yell it, say it?
Because
or
she never said it.
Not that I recall.
If you had heard that statement, you likely would have written it down, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You likely would have reported that to Trooper Proctor the next day, wouldn't you?
Yes.
You likely would have mentioned it in your grand jury testimony, correct?
Yes.
And you did none of those things because you did not hear that statement, correct?
I did not hear that. No.
Sir, you were at 34 Fairview for more than an hour before you cleared the scene, right?
Yes, sir.
You were at the location of the body of John O'Keefe.
Yes.
In other words, you just didn't stay in your cruiser. You walked out to where John O'Keefe was.
No, I was in my cruiser at different times. I
Must have been a bad question.
Okay.
You didn't just stay in your cruiser. At points, you got out of your cruiser, walked over, made contact with the women, and you were standing next to the body.
yes.
And you were obviously looking around. You noticed some footprints,
Yes.
and you even noticed some lack of footprints.
That's correct.
So you were being observant at the area of the body
Yes.
and the area adjacent to the body.
Yes.
You were looking for anything that might have been out of place,
Yes.
anything of any evidentiary value, correct?
Yes.
You never saw or otherwise observed, located a single piece of taillight material, did you?
Wow.
No.
Wow. Wow.
You certainly didn't see 45 pieces of broken plastic or taillight material, did you?
No.
Wow.
You never located or otherwise observed
He
John O'Keefe's
is.
missing shoe.
That is the glasses inside the coat is I want to get the F out of here as quick as possible. He is a nervous Nelly now. He's like, I surrender. I want to be out of here. Let's go. That was go time. The glasses are in my pocket. I want out. That's the tap out right there. Certainly didn't see 45 pieces of tail light. Exactly. Oh, he had tapping out.
Or any other clothing of his?
I didn't know.
Officer Schraff, did you ever think to look inside the house
No,
for that missing shoe?
no,
That never crossed your mind?
no.
You think that might have been a smart thing to do at the time?
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase the question.
Sure. Do you think that would have been appropriate protocol when
Oh.
dealing with a body
Oh,
laying on the
Jackson.
lawn that is partially unclothed to look inside the house of the lawn?
No,
You didn't think that would have been an appropriate protocol
no,
for you or anybody else?
no,
Obviously, you did not conduct a search of that house, did you?
no,
And you're aware that to this day, no law enforcement officer ever conducted a search of that
Woo.
house.
I'm not aware of.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah, just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
This is it's like fishing with dynamite. It's not even fair. And obviously I'm being, humorous here.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything,
Wow.
Mr. Lally?
Shredded.
Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, let's see what Mr. Weatherman's gonna say here.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
You were asking questions, you were shown a dispatch log, is that correct?
That's correct.
And dispatch log, as far as the Canton Police Department is concerned, are you aware of sort of how or when or who creates that?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jury sort of how that document sort of comes into being?
So when a call comes in, an officer is at the desk, and usually the first thing they would do is
Weatherman
dispatch, get
Lally.
people go into the scene and get everybody rolling as far as if they need FD, police, whatever resources they need, and basically then type in what the call is and who's going.
So fair to say it's more important to get assets allocated to a scene, especially in the case of an emergency, which is why someone's calling 911, than to ensure that the dispatch time is correct down to the second.
Absolutely.
Now, you were asking questions about different things that you heard the defendant say, correct?
That's correct.
And you were shown specifically some grand jury testimony from April of 2022, in which you indicated during that testimony that the defendant stated, "This is my fault."
Yes.
And is that based on your memory of what she said?
Yes.
And you also testified yesterday along those same lines, correct?
Correct.
What you testified to before this jury, as far as your memory, is that accurate as to what happened on that scene, January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
Now, prior to this call, did you know Kerry Roberts?
No.
Did you know Karen Reed?
No.
Did you know John O'Keefe?
No.
Did you know Jennifer McKay?
No.
Based on what you've seen, as
What do
far
these
as
questions have to do with
dash
anything?
camera, would you be able to differentiate between Jennifer McKay or Kerry Roberts from that dash camera footage?
No.
Now, while you were on scene, did you see anybody from 34 Fairview Road, from that address, come outside?
No.
Did you see anybody from any address on that entire street for the entire 90 minutes that you were there come outside?
No.
Now, you were asking questions about some different addresses on Fairview, whether they be 32 or 35. Do you know where either 32 or 35 is located in relation to 34?
It would be next to each other. Sequential order.
Nothing further.
Okay.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. You're all set, officer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Lally, who is your next witness?
Your Honor, call with the call officer Stephen Mullaney to the stand.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Stephen Mullaney.
All right, I'm gonna fast forward direct and just go to cross. Let me fast forward direct and we'll go right to cross. I don't really feel like hearing Lally. Oh, it's gonna be Yannetti this time. Oh, okay, great. Let's see. I just gotta get when Yannetti picks it up. I go back too far. Let's see. Is it Lally? Just bear with me here.
In addition to Mr. K.
Kind of like frozen on kind of to his face.
And the other two women that were with her. And
All right, let's hear Yannetti. Fire away.
an officer, you can. Thank you.
I just wanted to play the crosses tonight.
I have no further questions to this witness, Your Honor.
Right, cross examination.
Thank you, Ron.
No, I don't want to hear.
Good morning, officer.
Morning.
Officer Mulaney, you and I have never met before, correct?
Correct.
We've never spoken about this case?
No.
Is it fair to say that when you were dispatched to 34 Fairview Road on January 29th of 2022, you were a part-time officer at that point?
No, it's full time.
When did you start at the Canton Police Department?
July 2020.
Did you start as a part-time officer?
I did.
Oh, I see. I misunderstood your testimony. You actually became full-time in August of 2021.
Correct, sir. Yes.
All right, so you had been full-time at that point for about 6 months when you received this call, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's fair to say that you were the junior officer on scene?
Yes, it is.
You had testified that you approached Fairview from the Cedar Crest side, correct?
Yes.
34 Fairview Road is much closer to the Cedar Crest side than it is to the Chapman side, correct? And when you take a left on Cedar Crest to enter Fairview Road, 34 Fairview is the second house on the right. Does that make sense?
From Cedar Crest? Yes.
Yes. And you were quickly surmising that whatever action was taking place there was taking place on the front lawn of 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes, sir.
And one of the first things that you saw was there appeared to be a woman giving CPR to somebody on the ground.
Yeah, yes.
You didn't know who that woman was at the time, correct?
No, sir.
But you later learned her identity.
Yes, I don't recall which female it was that was given CPR though.
Okay. So you don't recall that it was Karen Reed who was giving CPR to John O'Keefe?
I don't know who it was.
At some point in time, you came in contact with Karen Reed, correct, while you were on scene?
Not direct contact. But I was on scene when she was there.
I mean, you were there until about 8 a.m., correct?
Yes.
And you were dispatched shortly after 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, sir.
You were there for approximately 2 hours, correct?
Yes.
You were there when Karen Reed was there when you showed up, correct?
Yes.
She left and she came back to the scene, correct?
Yes.
And you were there when she came back, correct?
Yes, sir.
So with regard to your contact with her, she certainly was within eyeshot, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you actually at some points were closer to her than you are to me right now, correct?
Yeah.
How close did you get to her?
10 feet.
All right. With the court's permission, I'd like to walk toward you and have you stop me when I'm at the point when you are at your closest to Karen Reed. What, can I do that, Your Honor?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Right there.
No one remembers anything. None of these officers
And
remember anything.
when you were this close to her, and you're estimating this to be about 10 feet, correct?
Sure.
When you were this close to her, was there anything blocking your view of her face?
Not that I recall.
You noticed, obviously, that she had blood on her face, correct?
I did not notice.
Excuse me.
You didn't notice that she had blood in her hair.
I did not notice that.
You did notice that she was absolutely hysterical.
Yes.
She was completely distraught.
Yes.
She appeared to be in shock.
Yes.
And there was a contrast between that demeanor that you observed with regard to Karen Reed and the demeanor of one of the other women on scene, Jennifer McCabe, was there not?
What is the sigh?
Can you kind of explain further?
Sure. Karen Reed was screaming, correct?
Yes.
She was yelling, correct?
Yes.
She was hysterical and distraught, correct?
Yes.
Jennifer McCabe was not.
Correct.
And you actually had more contact, direct contact with Jennifer McCabe that morning, correct?
Yes.
And you spoke to Jennifer McCabe for a good 2 minutes, correct?
Yes, sir.
Face to face.
Yes, sir.
You were closer to Jennifer McCabe than you ever got to Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
You were able to observe her demeanor.
Yes.
You were able to hear her tone of voice.
Yes.
You were able to hear how loudly she was speaking, correct?
Yes.
You were able to hear how quickly she was speaking.
Yes.
During those 2 minutes that you were face to face closer to Jennifer McCabe, she was not screaming, correct?
Correct.
She was not yelling.
Correct.
She was not hysterical.
Correct.
Oh,
She was not distraught.
Yes.
wow.
She was calm.
Correct.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow it, but let's move on.
Jennifer McCabe didn't have any blood on her face, correct?
No.
And you didn't see any blood in Jennifer McCabe, correct?
No.
Now, with regard to what you heard Karen Reed scream that morning, I just want to make sure I get your testimony correct. I believe on direct examination, you stated that she kept repeating two phrases, one being, "Is he dead?" and the second being, "That's my boyfriend," correct?
Yes.
And how many times do you think that she repeated those two phrases?
It's quite a bit. More than 10.
Okay, like almost too many times to count, really.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And each time she said, "Is he dead?" what was her tone of voice?
Screaming very loudly.
Each time she said, "Is that my boyfriend?" what was her tone of voice?
Same.
And you got there not long after Officer Saraf, correct?
Correct.
In any of during the time, let me strike that, during the time that you were on scene and you heard Karen Reed screaming and yelling in this distraught and hysterical manner, you never once heard her say, "I did it," correct?
I did not.
Oh,
You never once heard her
Oh!
say, "It's my fault," correct?
I did not.
You never once heard her say, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," correct?
I did not.
wow.
If you had heard any of those statements, you would have recognized that those would have been important to note, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you would have noted those in your police report, obviously, correct?
Yes.
Because you know that when you're drafting a police report, you want to include all the important details, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you want to be precise and accurate, correct?
Yes.
And so you didn't put put those statements in your report because you never heard those statements come out of Karen Reed's mouth.
Yes, sir.
Now, while you were on scene, at some point in time, you were asked to participate in a search for evidence on that front lawn, were you not?
Like was standing by. I didn't directly search for anything that I recall.
All right, and when you say you were standing by the area where John O'Keefe's body had been,
Yes.
correct? And how close were you to that area?
I was like right off the curb at that point on the
How many-
street,
How many feet from from where the body had been?
10 to 12 feet.
Okay, so maybe about the same distance as when I walked toward you, around that distance?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And how much time did you spend around that distance from where John O'Keefe's body had been?
I don't recall.
You were there for 2 hours, correct?
Yes.
So is it fair to say that you were sort of in and around that area multiple times during that 2 hours?
Yes.
Did you ever see anybody put up any crime scene tape at all?
I don't recall that.
You recall other officers sort of searching that area, correct?
Yes.
And while you were near that area, you were certainly paying attention to it, correct?
Yes.
Did you see officers using any equipment to clear some of the snow in that area?
Yes, sir.
What did you see?
There was a leaf blower.
Where did that leaf blower come from?
I don't know.
Who had the leaf blower?
Oh,
It was Lieutenant Gallagher.
When did Lieutenant Gallagher arrive on scene?
45 minutes after I did, approximately. I don't recall the exact time.
And how big was that leaf blower?
Not too big. It was
Was it handheld or was it something that you pushed?
handheld.
And who used the leaf blower?
Lieutenant Gallagher.
At what area or on what area did he use that leaf blower?
The front lawn.
And would that have been around the area where John O'Keefe's body had been?
Yes.
And you were watching him as he did that, correct?
Yes.
What other officers were in that area sort of watching what was going on or participating in the search for what was going on?
Don't necessarily recall where everybody was, but I believe it would be Sergeant Link and Sergeant Good.
And they were superior officers, correct?
Correct.
And you understood that these brother officers of yours were looking for evidence, right?
Yes.
They were looking for clues about potentially what had happened to John O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
And you were paying attention too as they were doing their work, correct?
Yes.
You were looking for anything that might have been out of place, correct?
Yes.
If there was something large there that didn't appear.
I just got to show everybody this. I don't know. I just got this. I just made this up and posted it. I got to show this to everybody. And I put this as a breaking news. Adam Lally is so good at tracking down and talking about the weather. He's been asked to join the Boston 25 weather team starting tomorrow morning. This is the shit that I think of during the show. Sometimes my mind wanders and I'm like, I got to put this out there. So oh, that's so good. Oh man, that was why I was quiet. I was just working on that and I got a big chuckle out of it. So I had to throw that up there. But if you all can go over, I posted on Twitter, I have it on Instagram and on the Facebook page. If you can go over and give that some like and some love and leave a comment, I think it's great. I love this. People in Market Basket goes like we effing get it. There was a snowstorm. All right, let's get back to the testimony in the cross with Yannetti killing it here. All right, let's go. That's good stuff.
You know, be appropriate for a front
All
lawn,
right,
you would have
good
made
stuff.
note of that, correct?
Yes.
And if there was something small there, you would have still made note of that if it didn't appear to belong on a front lawn, correct?
Yes.
At any point in time, either before or
Excuse me.
after the leaf blower was taken out by Lieutenant Gallagher, did you see 45 pieces of bright red, black, and clear plastic
Oh,
pieces
Deb's getting angry.
scattered all over the scene?
I did not.
Oh,
Did you find even or see even one piece of broken plastic?
I did not.
oh. Uh-oh.
Now, when you came to the scene, John O'Keefe was still lying on the ground, correct?
Yes.
Did you see whether or not there were any blankets on scene?
No.
Did you know that one of the women on scene had a sister who lived in that very house?
I did not.
When you were speaking with Jennifer McCabe, at any point, did you learn whether
Still laughing
she
about
had
that.
actually gone into that house at all?
Objection.
Sustained.
I'm still laughing
Did
about
you
that.
see Jennifer McCabe approach
Oh,
that house
Lally.
at any point when you were on scene?
No.
Were you alerted at any point by anyone that she went into that house while you were on scene?
No.
All right, let's pull this up. Oh, Wit, thank you so much. $4.99. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Says, why weren't any of the icers rendering aid? They were on the scene first. They should have been tearing cruises apart, looking for blankets to help. Yeah, I completely agree. Absolutely. No one was rendering aid. No one went and knocked on the door. No one said nothing. They did nothing. And that's a great point. Thank you for the $4.99 in support. Thank you. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Did you ever see Jennifer McCabe come out of that house with blankets or anything else that might comfort John O'Keefe?
No.
What was your state of mind regarding whether there were any first responders in that house?
Wasn't aware of that.
Nobody told you.
No.
You had testified that at one point you saw Karen Reed being escorted into a motor vehicle,
Yes.
and that was one of the women on scene, her motor vehicle?
Yes, it was either that or a cruiser.
All right.
Both kind of the same area.
But you'll agree with me, at no point in time did you see Karen Reed and Jennifer McCabe in a vehicle together.
Not that I recall, no.
And at no point in
Such a
time
great picture.
did you ever hear
Oh,
Karen Reed
that's good.
ask Jennifer McCabe to Google anything?
No.
Let me have a moment, Ron.
Yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you, officer.
All right, let's hear the redirect. Lally's gonna try to save him here, but I don't know. No, I'm gonna play
Been
this.
to, other scenes in which there is a deceased person on scene, family members or friends around.
Yes.
And of those other scenes, does everybody who's a friend or a family member of the person who is injured or deceased, do they all react the same?
No.
Was every single one of them screaming and yelling different things?
No.
And there were actually 3 women on scene that morning, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there was Jennifer McCabe, there was the defendant, Miss Reed, and there was Kerry Roberts, correct?
Correct.
And
Thank
did
you,
see
Rogue.
any, blood on Miss Roberts's face or hair?
No.
Okay, was she screaming and yelling things and moving around the scene?
No.
Now, as far as the residents in 34 Fairview Road, did you see anybody go in or come out of that residence during the time that you were on scene?
No.
And as far as any of the other residences on the entire rest of the street, did you see any of the neighbors or anybody else come outside at any point in time?
I did not.
I have nothing further.
Just one question, if I might.
Okay.
Recross.
Sure.
And I don't mean to be a wise guy, sir, but did any of the other neighbors on the entire street have the body of a dead police officer on their front lawn?
Objection, Your
No.
Honor.
All right. So that's sustained. All right. You are all set, sir.
Thank you.
Oh!
All right, folks, it's 11 o'clock. We'll take our morning recess, 15 minutes.
All right, 15-minute recess. Obviously, you're not going to break here for 15 minutes. Just want to get kind of a feel for the room. Listen, I want to thank everybody for being over here, hanging out on Let's Talk Live tonight. I think it's been, I'm glad that I've been able to come back and do these recaps with all of you and give me the chance to do this because I don't have the opportunity to stream all day long. I wish I did. I wish this was my full-time job. But someday, hopefully, when I become rich and famous, I'll be able to do this full-time. Obviously, I'm being humorous there, but this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life. And I don't know, does true crime continue on the channel? There's many other areas that I want to take this channel, but I'm really enjoying my time with you, and I enjoy all the subscribers, the members, supporters, and we like to have a little fun sometimes. So I had to put that meme together to kind of break the tension. And I don't know, it just comes to my head. And sometimes those things come out and they're just funny in the moment. So thank you all for being here. But we're going to continue with the next bit of testimony here. We'll fast forward again. We'll just hear the cross because that's really what I want to hear. I don't really feel like sitting and listening to Lally. And then, of course, my plan going forward, let me just bring this back up to the big screen again. My plan going forward is I'm going to try to get down probably on Friday morning. I'm going to go down and hang out for a little while. And I think if they have trial that day, I think the juries are off, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's a housekeeping type of thing. But I do plan on being out there Friday morning and shooting some video. I probably won't live stream it. I don't know. I haven't really made my mind up. But certainly if there is court, I'm going to come back for the afternoon session if it's a full day, and I'll stream the rest of it. So on my days off, I'll do a mix of going down and streaming or just sitting through and streaming a full stream for the day. And I certainly want to be off the day that Michael Proctor is up on the stand. I'd certainly want to be here for that. So, all right, let's get through the rest of this tonight. Again, I appreciate everybody being here tonight and giving me the opportunity to do this. We're going to pull through here. Okay, I don't want to hear the cross. I don't want to hear the direct, I want to hear the cross. So let's see. Let's see where we are.
Mask and
who questions? This is Nuttall or Nutbag or what's his last name? Nutzel. All right, let's see. Cross. Okay, looks like Alan Jackson's going to cross on this. All right,
right around this general area. Right about here.
And lastly, Ms. Gilman, if I could have exhibit number 14.
Full day Friday. Great. I'm going to be there.
And again, sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen as exhibit number 14?
I do.
When do you recognize that?
That I believe to be is where we found Mr. O'Keefe.
And as far as the pooling of the blood that you observed around Mr. O'Keefe's head, can you observe that area within this photograph as well?
Yes.
You could, again, using that laser pointer, just direct the jury's attention to where in this photograph you observe that.
They're right around in this general area. There.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Officer, we can have the lights back up. Your Honor, may I approach just to retrieve that?
Yes.
I might have to step out and use the restroom real quick.
I have no further questions for this witness at this time,
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your
Is
Honor.
it Jackson or Unetti that's going to get him?
Afternoon, firefighter Nuttall.
Sir, how are you?
Nuttall.
You were coming up, I want to make sure I get the timing right. You were coming off of nearly a 24-hour shift when you got the call,
No, sir. I was reporting for duty that morning.
just starting the shift when you got the call. Understood. I want to ask one quick question.
Yeah,
You
May.
mentioned
I
a
just
couple
want to hear the
seconds ago
cross.
under questioning by Mr. Lally. With regard to the clothing, the normal protocol for clothing that's removed from a patient,
Yes.
you said it's oftentimes just sort of discarded onto the floor.
In terms of in the ambulance or at the hospital?
Either one.
Yes.
Okay, both?
So typically, when we remove clothing in the back of the ambulance, it's generally done with trauma shears. So we will expose and then kind of fold over. That clothing is then usually left in place. We'll do a quick roll just to check the back of the patient, and then he's usually rolled back if there's nothing found, and it's typically left there. In terms of like big puffy jackets, if you cut a puffy jacket, it just makes quite the mess. So yeah, exactly. It's a disaster. So typically those bigger jackets are just removed, and that is when we removed that type of article of clothing. That's when we noticed that his hands were quite rigid.
So that's what happened in this case.
Correct.
You removed the big heavy jacket, discarded it, got it away from the body so you could better assess.
Real quick, I just got to ask my girlfriend something. Casey, are you on the plane right now? Are you flying back? What time was your? Oh, wait. No, wait. Your flight is later, isn't it? Are you at the airport right now? Where are you?
The injuries.
Correct.
And it was only then, after you removed this big heavy winter coat, that you could assess that his hands were stiff and cold.
We noted the hands, but it came more into light,
Okay,
if you will.
All
when
right.
we
Have a safe
removed
flight,
that
dear.
coat.
Got it.
I'll see you
Um,
tomorrow when you get back. All right. Let me know how everything goes. All right. Wearing a free Karen Reed shirt. I love it. And I got mine on. Karen Reed was framed. I got my shirt on tonight. Okay, let's go.
And you have as good a memory about that as you do the rest of the scene that morning.
In terms of removing the article of clothing,
Correct.
I did not remove any article of clothing. I was ventilating.
But you remember him having the big jacket on.
Correct.
Okay.
Ooh,
And you remember that as well as you remember the other
jacket.
specifics of the incident.
Wait a minute. John was wearing a jacket? Where's his jacket? Interesting.
When responding to a scene, I want to dovetail on the same subject, but just come at it in a little bit different way, if you indulge me. When responding to a scene, one of your jobs has to be to sort of immediately take note of and assess the situation of the patient that you're dealing with, correct? A motorcycle accident is going to be very different than a drowning.
Exactly.
Someone, in this case, exposed in a snowbank.
Thank you, Darcy.
Thank
you.
Note the weather.
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
He's a doll.
You're also going to note and
Love her to
assess
death.
the condition of the patient
Correct.
as it pertains to the weather.
Yes.
So someone, for instance, that's in a snowbank naked,
Mhm.
no clothes on at all, is going to be a little bit different assessment than someone who's completely dressed for winter, correct?
The initial assessment with every patient is going to be automatically circulation, airway, breathing.
Understood.
We approached this individual the exact same way. Is automatically went directly to.
No, it is on the record. He stated it in his testimony. He stated it as evidence. He stated it as truth in his statement. So no, will not be thrown out.
Cardiac. Make sure.
I guess what I'm asking is your attention is focused on some of those details for sure.
Correct.
And that's how you remember that big heavy coat that he was wearing, correct?
I remember he was appropriately dressed. Correct.
Okay. As a matter of fact, you testified to that in the grand jury that, quote unquote, he had a heavy coat on,
Yes.
consistent with how you're testifying today. Is that right?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to mark 2 photographs as next in order. These have not yet been marked. I believe it would be 160.
It doesn't matter so much the number, but why don't you just show the prosecutor the photos?
161 and 162 in order. May I approach?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you first of all whether not you
The
recognize
Facebook page is great right now. If you're not connected to my Facebook page, you've got to get connected over there, and I'll drop the link to the Facebook. You got to go look at the comments on that meme that I dropped. I'll drop the link in the chat. You can go over there and click it. All right, let's keep playing. Yes, 1-800-COPS.
Honestly, sir, I couldn't recall the exact, but yeah,
You do recognize them.
yes.
Does that appear to be what John O'Keefe was wearing?
I don't recall, sir, to be perfectly honest.
May I approach him?
Yes.
Do you recall this being part of? Let me ask it a different way. Do you remember somebody cutting this off of John O'Keefe at the time?
I remember the clothing being removed.
Okay, but you don't remember this clothing.
I could say that he had clothing removed, but I couldn't tell you exactly what it was.
And you've just looked at these. This, what I'm holding in my hand, appears to be the front and back of a.
So don't hold it up to him from that distance where he said he doesn't recognize it. You can put it back in front of him. Don't hold it up for the jury, please.
May I?
Yes.
That appeared to be a.
This guy's cracking. He's shaking.
Yeah, that appears to be a thinner layer of clothing.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Not a heavy coat. Is that fair?
Fair.
Not a winter jacket.
Fair.
Is it fair to say you had a lot on your mind when you were out at that scene, correct?
In terms of just the cut.
Saving a man's life.
All right, let me just. I'm going to address this. You fail me. I don't know what you're trying to do to the chat here. I really don't care what Tom. This is not. We're not talking about Tom, okay? And how about this? And my dad and I had this conversation today. Stop worrying so much about what other people are doing and worry about yourself. Focus on yourself. Who cares? Who cares? Is it bothering you? Is it affecting you? I don't know what happened today. I don't care what happened today. I'm focusing on this testimony right now. If you don't want to watch this testimony, you can go away. You don't have to be in the chat, but we don't care about what happened 12 hours ago. We're watching this right now. This is the focus of this live. It's goofy. Just see you later. Goodbye. See you later. Have a good night. If you think that Tom stole your data, I think you're being pretty naive right now, to be honest with you. I don't think Tom has a rig enough in the power of his hand and through his cell phone to be able to do that. I think it's a pretty goofy point that you're bringing up. And if you're so damn paranoid about that, then I don't know. Do some research on it. It didn't happen. Holy smokes. Goodbye. Have a good night.
Your credentials are impressive. You were there focused on one thing, and that is trying to make sure that a man did not die.
Correct.
Shoe fly. Shoe.
Would you agree that that was your primary concern and your primary focus the entire time you were at the scene?
Correct.
You weren't necessarily worried about what other individuals were doing, correct?
No.
If I asked you right now off the top of your head, tell me exactly the number of law enforcement officers that were there at the scene.
Moderators.
Probably couldn't tell me, could you?
No. Block these people. They're trolls. Who cares?
If I asked you,
Goodbye.
whether or
Don't
not you
engage.
remember every single civilian that was at the scene, probably couldn't tell me, correct?
Outside of the three?
Outside of the three.
Correct.
Any other civilians?
Not that I noted.
Okay. Matter of fact, you can't even identify the three civilians other than generally middle-aged, 40s, Caucasian female.
Correct.
You said all three of them sort of looked alike, right?
Without the only defining feature on one of the individuals was one of the individuals did have blood on their face.
So some of the specifics of that scene, you didn't pay special note to, correct?
No, we were focused on patient care.
Is it fair to say that, specifically as it pertains to what the victim was wearing, your memory might be a little faulty where that's concerned?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, nothing wrong with that. You were focused on something completely different.
Correct.
You did notice certain injuries on Mr. O'Keefe's person, correct?
Correct.
And you indicated on direct examination that once you got him into the back of the ambulance, you, as you put it, you had a quote unquote much better picture of what you were dealing with. Is that right?
Correct.
You testified at the grand jury that you noted that once he was in the back of the ambulance, under better lighting, you were able to tell that he had trauma to the right side of his head.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Are you talking about the major trauma that he suffered to the back of his head, or the egg that you earlier described?
I was more just because it was directly in front of me. It was on the front side of his head.
Okay, so it wasn't the right side of his head. If you said right side of your head, you might point above your ear, right?
Correct,
That's not
yes.
where you're talking about.
I was, and if, to use my person, I would say right here. So more towards the right, above his right eye.
Right of center, but still on the front of his head.
Correct.
And you did not make any note of another injury on the back of his head.
No.
You talked about the injuries to the right side of his arm, correct?
Correct.
You noted that those injuries appeared to be scratches.
Yes.
That's your word, not mine, right?
Correct.
Wow.
You didn't say that those were blunt force trauma.
No.
You didn't say that they were abrasions.
Scratches and abrasions, in my point of view, seem to go hand in hand.
But the word you used was scratches.
Yes, there were.
You're gonna try to swivel your statement here. Scratches. Oh well, scratches and abrasions are the same thing. No, I don't think so. Just like Jackson said, you stated scratches. So we're gonna go with that.
Furrows. Down.
Say that again?
Furrows, if you will, for lack of a better term. Just.
I don't understand that word.
So if you remove something,
Yes.
like you create a furrow in the skin, is that?
Furrows.
Yes, there you go. Sorry, excuse my accent.
No. I'm on your turf.
Fair enough.
It's my accent. I'm so sorry. Oh, boy, that one. It's going to be a meme somewhere.
Hey, my cousin Vinny.
Yeah, got it. All right. So when you said furrows,
Wow, he said the Mike cousin
you-
Vinny. Wow.
made your hand in almost like a claw and drug it against your right biceps.
Objection.
Sustained.
Can you repeat the movement that you did for the jurors when you said furrows?
Objection.
Sustained. Just move on to the next question, please.
You would agree that a very common cause of a hematoma over one's eye is being hit or punched.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh,
You said that Mr. O'Keefe did have such a hematoma over his right eye, correct?
Yes.
Did you also see a laceration under the eyebrow but above the lid? on the right eye?
excuse me.
I don't recall.
Did you see a laceration on Mr. O'Keefe's nose?
I don't recall.
You did note that there was some blood on his nose, correct?
Correct.
That possible that came from a small laceration.
Yes.
In your experience, well, let me ask another question. Did it look like he had, in addition to the egg on the right side of his head,
Mhm.
in the front, did it also have a black eye on the left side?
If memory serves correct, yes.
So both eyes were blackened.
Primarily the right side, if memory serves.
Okay. And the laceration toward the right side
Yes.
of the right eye. Are those injuries that you've just described consistent or inconsistent with some sort of physical altercation?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. Next question, please.
Did it appear to you, just from your initial assessment, given your experience, training, and background, that those injuries looked like he had been in a fight?
Objection.
I'll see counsel at sidebar.
Well, she's gonna stop this. Oh, Bev, you're just fighting for the prosecution. Believe me, you are doing it. We see it, and these witnesses are gonna end up eating crow in the end. I'm telling you, she is gonna fight to try to help the prosecution. All right, while they're at sidebar, I'm just going to jump out really quick, use the restroom. I'll keep the stream going and I'll jump back. I'll be right back. Be right back.
Thank you.
Sir.
Little break. In your experience as obviously a training firefighter, tell me the word again that you used.
Field training officer or
Field training
preceptor.
officer. Thank you. As a field training officer, have you seen in your experience the product or the injuries that can be produced from fistfights?
Yes.
Okay. Injuries to the face.
Yes.
Injuries to the mouth. Injuries to the nose.
Yes.
To the ears.
Yep.
To the eyes. Defensive wounds on the hands.
Yes.
Did you note we've already talked about, and I don't want to go over all this again. You've already noted what the injuries to the face were that you saw Mr. O'Keefe having suffered.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Consistent or inconsistent with a physical altercation?
I couldn't say.
Were they consistent or inconsistent with being in a fight?
I couldn't say.
Was that egg over his right?
Send me a donation so I can buy a teleprompter. That's my next thing for in here. I need to buy a teleprompter. I think when we get the teleprompter, I can get it up over the camera so it won't look like I'm reading off the big screen TV up here. I want to start doing those opening statements. I think it worked out really well. And if I have a teleprompter, it would be right here, right behind the camera. So I'd be direct camera. So I need some teleprompter funds for the studio. All right, let's keep going here. Jackson attacking. On the attack.
Eye, consistent or inconsistent with him having been punched or hit?
I couldn't say.
I thought you said that one of the common causes of an egg like that, a hematoma, as you put it, over someone's eye, is being hit or punched.
There's quite a few reasons that somebody could get an egg, such as that over their head there. I mean,
I love this comment. G stepping in probably after seeing my meme said, we heard news about Boston 25 willing to hire Lally as their weatherman. Well, he's starting tomorrow morning. He's going to need a new job. He's starting tomorrow morning. I love it. All right, let's keep playing through here.
you could get hit with a golf ball,
Of course.
for instance.
I'm not asking you to the exclusion of everything else.
Yeah.
I'm asking you, is it consistent?
It's consistent. It could be.
Okay. And the other injuries as well?
Correct.
Okay. Did you see bruising to the back of one or both of his hands?
His hands were, as stated, they were very cold and very white. They were not well perfused. And when you don't have adequate perfusion, swelling and smaller injuries don't typically present themselves, if you will.
So you may not have seen that.
Correct.
The bruising may have been there.
It might have been there. It just wasn't observable.
Thank you,
just due
Audrey.
to
I
the
plan on
condition of his
doing
hands.
Just may have overlooked.
Yes.
Okay. You indicated that you were not present when your colleague, Katie McLaughlin, was questioning anybody at the scene, correct?
Correct.
She was tasked with that responsibility, but you did not engage with her.
Correct.
Meaning, when I say engage with her, you weren't standing there with her.
No, I was in the back of the ambulance.
Okay. You claim to have heard this statement, I hit him,
Yes.
several times from the woman with blood on her face.
Correct.
You indicated that she was erratic,
Correct.
hysterical.
Correct.
You said, for lack of a better term, running around in circles.
Yes.
She seemed despondent or distraught,
Very distraught.
very upset.
Yes.
Was she saying anything else that you recall?
To me, I heard I hit him, and then I went back, obviously continuing on patient care, focusing on patient care.
Did you hear her say, could I have hit him?
I heard I hit him.
That's what you believe at this point.
That's what I heard.
Okay. Where exactly were you?
I was crouched at the head of Mr. O'Keefe.
Okay. You were asked that exact question at the grand jury, correct? To describe where you were.
I feel some fire coming. The chat's letting me know too. I don't know. I feel this kind of building up here. This is going to be fire from Jackson. Here we go.
And who was doing what?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. You were asked a question when you spoke to her and she said, I hit him. Were you with the other representatives, sir, there at the time? Were there other people around you? You remember being asked that question by a grand juror?
And he nervous. He looking around. His eyes are darting all over that courtroom. He's looking for that answer in the courtroom. I'm telling you. He nervous Nelly.
I don't recall.
Do you remember answering, no, there were other people around me. I had paramedics, Flamati.
He's choking too. He's swallowing.
Kelly was there as well.
Correct. So the three of us were all providing patient care
Okay.
around Mr. O'Keefe.
And you indicated that we were all there together. You were kneeling and you were doing the airway while you called him Tony.
Yes, that's
Flamati.
Anthony Tony. Yes.
All right. He was doing the CPR, correct?
Correct.
And it's absolutely clear in your mind that when that statement was made, you were knelt down over Mr. O'Keefe. Flamati was doing CPR. Kelly was with you guys, and you posed the question to her, do you know him? Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I want to make sure I understand this. You said, as you're knelt down, do you know him? Directly to the female. And she answered your question with, I hit him.
Yes.
But that's not what you told Trooper Proctor in a February 8th interview.
I don't recall what I told Trooper Proctor.
Let's start at the beginning. Do
Okay.
you remember having a conversation with Trooper Proctor on February 8th?
I do.
Yeah.
That was
Him.
obviously much closer in time.
Ruh-roh.
than your grand jury testimony, correct?
Correct.
And years closer in time than your testimony now.
Correct.
Do you recall on February 8th telling Trooper Proctor that while you were rendering aid, you heard Karen say, I hit him, to another female on the scene?
To another female, as I stated, I heard several times I hit him. In terms of who that was directed towards, I mean, again, focused on patient care.
Understood. My question was a little bit different. Do you recall telling Trooper Proctor specifically that while you were rendering aid, you heard Karen say, I hit him, to another female on the scene? And the other female told Karen to be quiet.
I do recall that.
Okay. That's not what you testified to today, though.
Okay.
Matter of fact, that story has changed to you posed a question
Mhm.
and she answered your question.
Oh.
Correct.
So which is it?
So when ventilating a patient, typically that is also used to gather information from bystanders, because as I'm ventilating, I can real quick look around. Do you know this individual? Do you know anything about this individual? That's fairly typical for any scenario in this is just it's a very quick information gathering strategy.
But you'll agree that your testimony today has changed from what it was from your statement to Trooper Proctor on February 8th.
I don't know if it would so much say change, sir. To be honest, I don't fully recall that meeting with Mr. Proctor.
You don't,
I-
I'm sorry.
I remember meeting with him. However, I don't fully remember what was discussed.
So it's fair to say that your memory is a little bit faulty as it pertains to that time frame.
Absolutely.
He is. You see that deep, thick swallow he just did there? He know he
When
in
you went to the
trouble.
hospital
He up against the wall.
with the patient, did you ever inform any of the doctors
He is
or nurses
swallowing
or
hard.
professionals at the hospital that you had heard a female claim to have hit John O'Keefe and that's the reason for his injuries?
I did not give the report to the hospital.
So the answer to that is no.
No.
You did not. As a first responder and a medical professional yourself, obviously you know that the cause and manner of the victim's injuries are incredibly important as it pertains to assessing how to treat that patient.
Correct.
Once you got back to the station and to take a breath,
Mhm.
did you write any report?
I did not. No, I did not write the patient care report.
So you didn't write a report, just to finish my question, you didn't write a report that said, by the way, while I was out at the scene, I heard a female say, I hit him, and that's the cause and manner of the injuries.
Not to my knowledge.
Well, you would know if you wrote a report that said that,
Correct.
and you did not.
I did not write the patient care report.
At any time that day or any day subsequent thereto, did you contact the Canton Police Department, which were the first responders?
I did not.
So let me finish my
Sorry.
question. And say, by the way, just so you know, I heard this woman say, I hit him out of the scene.
I did not.
Did you ever, on that day or any day subsequent thereto, contact the Massachusetts State Police and say, I heard this person say I hit him?
I did not.
So the first time you ever repeated that statement was on February 8th with Trooper Proctor.
Correct.
And by the time we've come full circle to today, that statement has now pivoted.
In terms,
You didn't you didn't overhear the person say it to a female now. She's talking directly to you now.
she spoke directly to me, yes.
Have you, just one last point. You've obviously noted that this case has gotten an enormous amount of notoriety, correct?
Correct.
How many times would you say that you've discussed this case, and this incident, with your fellow firefighters?
It's brought up around the station semi-frequently. However, being involved in it, we try to stay clear of it just because we are involved in it.
So the answer is, there's been many discussions,
Yes,
probably daily.
frequently.
Have any of those discussions helped you with what you earlier described as
Ooh.
faulty memory around that time frame?
Objection, Your Honor.
He can have that. Have they?
Repeat the question for me, sir.
Sure. Have any of those discussions helped you with what you earlier described as a little bit of a faulty memory?
The memories that I have and the ones that I'm bringing up, I don't believe that they've changed. You know, I've played them over in my head to the best of my ability, and I don't believe my story is swayed. If they've been enunciated incorrectly on my part, that it wasn't intentional.
Understood.
Yeah.
And nobody's casting aspersions. Memory's a funny thing. So your memory is as good about that as it is about that winter coat.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. That's all I have.
Mr. Lally?
Oh boy, Lally's gonna. He is this guy nervous. I'm telling you, man. These witnesses are not good for the Commonwealth. It was funny. I was actually in the Court TV chat today. It's about 6,000 people in there, And I probably saw every single person in that chat saying, this is not a good witness for the Commonwealth. Now, the thing that you all have to keep in mind, and we'll finish this up here in a second, the thing that you all have to keep in mind is that, yes, we are seeing it this way. The only thing that you can hope on, and we got 6 more weeks, 7 more, 8 more weeks of this. The only thing that you hope is that the jury is seeing it our way as well. You don't know. You know, that's the funny thing about a jury. You don't know how they're thinking. And that's why I put that poll up earlier. If you didn't know anything about this case and you just heard the first 2 days of testimony, would you think Karen is guilty or innocent? And you all gave me your answers. And about 82% said Karen is innocent. There was some other people that said they wanted to wait to hear the full evidence, and that's fair. And then there was people, 4 or 5% of people that said that she's guilty. But that's the funny thing about a jury. You don't know what they're thinking. You never know what they're thinking. So hopefully, and we pray that this all plays out in Karen's favor. I right now, with full confidence, absolutely 100% believe that this is casting major doubt in the minds of the juries. All right, let's get this finished up, and then we'll check out for the rest of the night. And listen, I appreciate y'all being here tonight. I know there's multiple streams about this case going on right now. A lot of people in the nighttime hour, but the 100 or so of you that have stick with me through this last 2 hours, I really do appreciate it, because it just really shows me that you care about this channel and want LTL to keep moving on. And listen, you know, I give it up to all those other creators. I think they're doing a fantastic job. And I know people will come and go and bounce around, and you have every choice to do that. But again, I appreciate the hardcore members being here tonight and going through this with me. It's been a pleasure this night to present this. So thank you so much for being here. All right, let's finish up with Nuthell here. Nuthell, whatever his name was.
Just know, when it comes to being asked about consistency
Thank you.
of causality as far as different injuries that you observed on Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Rephrase that. For
Excuse me.
Poorly phrased.
Oh, wow.
So you would have been asked on cross-examination.
That's a really strong statement. Kazoo62 says your channel gives me purpose. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a very strong. It's a very strong statement. You know, if something's ever bugging you or whatever, just, reach out to us. Talk to us here in the chat. But wow, this is a really strong statement. All right, let's keep going.
About some,
Well, thank you, Darcy. I love Melanie. Melanie's Melanie's become a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. I appreciate her insight. Her channel is blowing up. She deserves all of the fandom and stardom and credit that she's getting. I only hope that my channel can meet and exceed that level someday. I'm just grinding it out here on YouTube and trying to push this channel forward. And again, I appreciate all the interaction here. And Melanie's great. I love Melanie. Her and I always text, and I love when she comes over and hangs out on the channel. We have really great chats. So I love all the success that she's getting. She deserves it. She's a great attorney. She's a great friend, and she's given me a lot of good free advice. And I appreciate that. And she's an amazing woman. And I think that she's going to do really well here on YouTube. And, again, I hope I reach that level someday. So, okay, let's go and finish this up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Love Melanie. She's great.
The injuries you observed on Mr. O'Keefe would be consistent with as far as having been the cause of those, correct?
Correct.
And how many sort of myriad of other causality, or how many myriad of other sort of things could have also been a cause of the injuries that you observed?
As stated, a lot. It's not typically just physical altercations. It could be, again, a golf ball could hit you in the head. That could cause similar injuries.
Just for clarity purposes, when you were asked about a particular time frame, were you talking about the time frame of January 29th, or were you talking about the time frame of February 8th when you met with Richard Croft?
Sorry, sir, rephrase that for me.
Let me withdraw that and move on to something else. So what, just again, for clarity purposes, when you were asked about some statements that were attributed to you to Trooper Proctor during an interview, correct?
Correct.
And so with regard to recall differently, is it the statement that the person, the female with the blood on her face made to you, or the statement of the other female telling that person to be quiet?
So as stated, real quick, down and dirty, I asked, do you know this person? To which I hit him. And then in the background, I remember hearing over and over, I hit him. That was kind of pushed towards the back, and patient care took priority, if that answers your question.
Do you recall specifically at this time the other statements that you were asked about as far as whether or not the other female told that female to be quiet?
I do remember that, correct.
And the other statement as far as the female with blood on her face, and again, that was the differentiating character between the two females that you observed there, correct?
Correct.
And your memory of that statement is, I hit him, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Nuttall, you are all set, sir.
Thank you, everybody.
Do you have another witness, Mr. Lally, to start?
So there's
yes,
no cross on this witness, this next witness, if I'm correct. So we're going to bounce out, and the next witness is, oh boy, what was his name? Let me scroll back up. The next witness was firefighter Anthony Flametti. Anthony Flametti. There's no cross. I think they started direct, but there's no cross today. So, listen, a little bit of review. Again, just going through the cross with Jackson and Yannetti today. I think they were, again, on fire. They didn't really have to do much on day one, but I think Yannetti's opening statement was complete fire. And I think Lally's in it. He's going to be in a big uphill battle here. Jackson, Yannetti, and Little, they're brilliant minds, are not one to be messed around with. And, even Melanie Little said, Helen Jackson is one of the best defense attorneys in the nation. So you're up against, Superman, and Lally's looking like Superboy. So, the Giants are definitely in the house, and they're winning. I mean, if I had my scorecard, I would say that the last 2 days have gone to the defense. And and I'm not trying to be biased when I look at this, but really, I mean, if I had to step back and look at it and not even just be involved in this, and I was a juror on that jury, I would say the defense is proving that Karen didn't do this right now. So, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting. I just want to read this Cash App that came through. Renee, thank you so much for the 5. She says, you're doing an awesome job, Brian. Thank you for the 5 on Cash App. I do appreciate that. So, just remains to be seen what's going to happen here. We got about another 7 weeks of testimony, and it's going to be full of a lot of things that come out. And the day that Proctor gets on that stand, I definitely want to be live on that day, watching that live. And I think the direct and the cross for Proctor, I mean, could take up to 2 days. I think the defense is really going to land him. And you go back, and I know I've been comparing this a lot to the O.J. Simpson trial. I think Mark Furman for the defense was on the stand for like 2 days. So they really ripped into Furman, and I think they're going to really rip into Proctor here. And it's kind of O.J. Simpson 2.0. They're just attacking the police, coming after them, exposing. They're horrible investigating. They can't conclude on what statements they made. They can't conclude on things that they hear and they saw. They had to be coached by Proctor. It's looking like, and then it's all going to point to Proctor in this. And I think at the end, Brian Albert will probably have to take the stand. I think he was on the witness list. They're all going to be there, and they're all going to have to testify to that. And believe me, that video that you saw today of Jen McCabe walking back to 34 Fairview, you think that's the last time you're going to see that video? Absolutely not. Because when Jen's on that stage Alan Jackson is probably going to play that video again and say, where did you go and what did you do? And why did you walk away from the scene to go back in that house? Who did you have a conversation with? What did you bring with you? What are you doing there? Why are you leaving the police presence at this point? I'm telling you, Jackson's going to go after her. And I think these witnesses have a big hill ahead of them to climb. Because it's all gonna come out. The truth will come out, and it's coming out. The truth is coming out, and Jackson and Yannetti and Little are gonna get it out there. So again, we had a very long live stream this evening. I appreciate everybody being here, being part of the LTL family, and we'll keep banging these streams out. Again, I'm not gonna be able to stream the trial every single day, but at least I can come back and do some of these recaps with all of you, giving me the opportunity to do this, and I appreciate it. And, I think everybody liked the opening statement, so we'll keep that as part of the program here going forward. I'll do my best to work on the teleprompter so it doesn't look I'm looking up, because when I'm reading it from the big screen TV up there. And if you notice, a lot of the times if I'm watching a video, I'm kind of looking up a little bit. It is what it is. The TV's not going to be able to move. It's mounted on the wall. It's going to be there. And it's perfect, actually, for when people come in and sit down, they can see the TV. But, maybe next time around, I'll buy a teleprompter or figure something out here. But anyway, fam, I love you all. Please subscribe to all my socials. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. You're missing all the memes on Facebook and Instagram. I post on there constantly. And of course, I'm always here back live as well. To my girlfriend, Casey, I will see you tomorrow. Have a safe flight home. And I look forward to spending some time with you. I think, what's it been, 6 days? 6 days you've been away down in beautiful, sunny Florida. And you'll come back with a tan, and I'll just be tanless. All right, everybody. I'm going to bounce out for the night. I will not be live tomorrow. I'll be spending that time with my girlfriend, and then hopefully back here on Thursday, heading it up, getting back to testimony. And if there's a full day on Friday, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'd like to go down to the courthouse Friday morning. I probably will, and watch Karen walk in, and then I'm going to probably get out of there, get back as quick as I can to pick up the stream and go from there. So thank you all so much. Everybody have an amazing night. Again, I'm Brian. This is LTL Media. This is Let's Talk Live. And I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks for the support, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Take the change.